It's my pleasure now to invite to the podium my good friend and colleague, Dr. Tarek Saadawi. Dr. Saadawi received his, come on up. He received his foundational education, BS and MS from Cairo University in Egypt, but began teaching at City College in 1980. I said that to him earlier, and he said it's time to retire. And I want to say, no, it's not yet time to retire, Dr. Saadawi. We have worked together on a number of occasions. In fact, and I've said this, engineers are far more generous than those of us in the social sciences and the humanities. I'm sorry about that, Dean. And I say it for the following reason. I'm a co-author on one of Dr. Saadawi's books, a book he did on cybersecurity. And here's how you get to be a co-author in an engineering book. You write 2 paragraphs in the introduction, and you put your name on the cover. And that was before I was president. He didn't even have to curry favor for budget share or anything. But he's a senior member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, former technical editor of IEEE, the journal that comes out of that organization. He's a former chairman of IEEE's Computer Society of New York City. He's received awards from IEEE Region 1 and from the Nippon Telegraph and Telephone of America. And this is for conducting research on broadband telecommunications network. He's also the co-founder of IEEE's Symposium on Computers and Communications, which is now in its 18th series. We have been blessed on this campus to have his insight and his leadership and his wisdom, and particularly blessed over the last couple of years because alongside a number of close collaborators, he has originated and developed our master's program in cybersecurity, and boy, do we need that program now. So please welcome Dr. Tarek Saadawi, and we will be in conversation. So I'm going to start off with a softball question for you. Just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your research interests, and how you've developed this focus on cybersecurity.
Well, first of all, let me first mention when Vince we wrote that book, or we co-edited the book together, he wrote a whole chapter, and it was well written. So anyway, so to move to my discussion, basically what brought me to City College, as a PhD student, you read the papers and you know people by their names and conferences and all that. But the person whom I knew very well from papers was Professor Don Schilling. He was a professor here. And when they put an ad, I applied right away and I came to City College and ended up working with Don Schilling in terms of research. Now he's retired, but he's a great researcher, and definitely he set up the stage for that. But literally over the work, I did mostly work in networking, internet. That my PhD thesis was in that point. So from network, obviously, you know, all cybersecurity comes, because the whole network, the internet, it is the main reason we have all this problem with the cybersecurity, because now everything is connected to the network. Even, you know, my watch, or I have my sensors, it goes to the medical office through the internet. So that means I am liable and I can be penetrated or hacked or whatever. So that's the main motivation. Now I move to cybersecurity.
Make sure you hold your microphone. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, you know, what cyber threats look like have evolved from sort of simple viruses back in the day to things that are much more complex now. Could you just give us a kind of overview of the things we should, I guess, maybe be most worried about at this moment?
Yes, of course, as you said, virus started way back in the 1990s. It was simple wannabe, actually, we call them wannabe hackers. 19 years old, 20 years old goes and hack a site on the government. So that was the main thing, but obviously immediately became value for the underground network. So as a result, it starts showing is you're talking about, cyber crime, espionage. These type of things start showing because obviously the underground people find that way to make money. So that was immediate push. But on the other hand, hacktivists obviously find that's a good reason, people with ideology, so they can really go and attack anti-ideology. So that became another component. Then the last component came when what's called as a state actor, where the state has a third party and the third party does the dirty job for them. That's basically what's happening. And across the world, there have been a lot of friction, but it's coming from that side. So that's basically the four classification, who really does the attack.
And what about the mechanism itself, from virus to, I guess, ransomware and other kinds of threats?
Yes, the virus, worm, which is more sophisticated than a virus. Then you have spyware, basically gets infected my laptop, and being able to spy on all what I'm doing. Obviously not me, but I mean, that's the main purpose of spyware. You may talk about Trojan horse, which are basically can sit also on your computer and being communicated by person who might be anywhere in the globe. And then it can give commands to that small piece of software sitting in my laptop and then can trigger an action. And a lot of incidents happen. But then the most serious one is really ransomware. And ransomware obviously grows so much. I remember a case where a student in my lab, PhD student, maybe 10, 15 years ago, came to me and told me I had a ransomware on my computer in the lab. So he was a good student, he went on the internet, he found how to can do it, and he was able to get his, the ransomware being killed, basically. So ransomware now became very dangerous, and actually, the things we are involved with, which is Global Cyber Alliance, which in New York City formed from basically the government, New York City government, FBI, police, law enforcement, industry in New York City, and the universities. So they formed that association to see what they can do in terms of cyber hacking. So definitely there is that motion. And on the other thing, basically the main thing of the law enforcement was ransomware. That's the biggest threat to our governments, small cities that might have an IT office, small IT office. They don't have the capability to defend, and they had to pay ransomware. There are cases where they paid $500,000, whatever, to get their work done.
Could you tell us one or two of maybe one of the more famous of these attacks?
There is actually a pipeline, and the pipeline company, I forgot the name exactly, but they were ransomware, and they paid $5 million. This is a huge company, and they had to pay $5 million. That was in the news. By the way, all these stories are coming out from the news. Every day you can read that in the news, and actually in my students, I show them slides in year 2021. This is what happened from the newspaper. Slide on 2020, slide in 2019. So I have slides going all the way back 10 years ago with different events. These are the highlighted ones, but there are minor that don't come in the newspaper that often. So that's definitely is a big concern. Is ransomware nowadays is the top of the line in terms of concern.
In the current war that's going on in Ukraine, U.S. involvement has really tried to thread a line between providing assistance to Ukraine, but not providing us so much that it would provoke a direct Russian attack on NATO or the United States. But when people talk about escalation, one of the first fronts of escalation, probably not nuclear, probably not biological, they talk about like a cyber strike against countries or societies that are supporting the Ukrainian people. Can you evaluate for us what that might look like, what the level of danger is, and is there things that we should be thinking about in the face of that kind of a possibility?
Yes, definitely. It's a big issue now, and we all know that. But actually, if we go back in time, in 2009, the first cyber war started in Estonia, which obviously was a conflict happened there between Russia and Estonia. Estonia, by the way, is one of the leading countries in terms of digital infrastructure. They are very well. They have actually what is called digital citizen. Anyone can apply for digital citizen of Estonia. That's how advanced they are in that regard. So that first incident that happened, but then immediately after that, we saw some cyber hacking happen in Georgia, Crimea. These were obviously done by the Russians, or at least most probably by the Russians. But then in Ukraine, in 2015 and 2016, their electric grid were shut down for 5 hours. So that's another indication, both years, 2015 and 16, that those happened. So clearly it is happening, and it's happening now, and it is very serious. And actually the war, we should call it physical cyber war, currently going on now, because there is a lot of hacking happened. Give you one example. Actually, it was also in the newspaper about what is called hacking, what is called multi-level authentication protocol, which basically, when I sign to my bank every now and then, the bank I have my password, but the bank might say, well, we sent you a code to your phone. That's level 2 of authentication. So there is multi-level and more complex than that, but basically that was hacked in Ukraine. And that obviously means a lot of government office will be susceptible to this type of attack.
When we talk about cyber warfare, there's a lot of attention on what the Russians have, or maybe what Iranians have. But what is the U.S. capacity? I mean, I know we have a defensive capacity. Do we have an offensive capacity? Can you say?
Definitely, there is a strong capability, actually much stronger than we all think, because but in spite, let me back up a little bit. Cybersecurity, you cannot defend the system 100%. That's a rule. It's like in my home, your home, or apartment, or building. Yeah, you defend it, but there is one guy, if he really focus on penetration to your home, he can come from the roof, from the balcony. So there are different ways. So definitely there is no 100% secure system. So the idea will make it difficult and spend more time to hack the system. That's the idea. So we're trying to increase the probability of being able to come in, become very little and very difficult, and requires lots of work. So definitely, yeah, definitely US has, and we have seen, for example, President Biden requested from the Congress certain money and allocated for cybersecurity and focus on the electric grid. So the electric grid is obviously a big concern, and we have to protect that. But Homeland Security mentioned what is critical infrastructure protects, critical cyber infrastructure. And Homeland Security defined 15 more, actually, 20 maybe, 20 critical cyber infrastructure, like transportation, financial, you name it. There is literally across the industry, there are different, and how to protect that. So definitely there is a lot of work going on. And one other example is obviously what's New York City. We're working with law enforcement industry in that alliance.
I want to ask you to talk a little bit about the program that you've built. And let's start first by saying, what is your objective when you're preparing the students? What skills are you giving them? What kinds of career trajectories do you imagine they will have?
Well, the program actually started me, electrical engineering and computer science, they team together, and let's try to design that. But what we found is New York City has, its government has an office called EDC, and EDC was willing to fund us at least seed money to start the program. So we went ahead and started the program.
That's the Economic Development Council.
Say it again?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the program covers a wide range of cybersecurity in master, from theoretical encryption, which is very difficult topic, but we have to teach it, as network security, cloud security, artificial intelligence, but we look at it from the adversary side. So there is a course unique called Adversary AI, Adversary Artificial Intelligence. That's a unique course. And then we have penetration testing lab. We have a cloud, a web security lab.
Could you say what the penetration testing lab is?
This is actually very important for all companies. Companies now, there is actually service. You can ask for a company to come and does penetration testing to your system.
They try to hack your system.
Yes, ethical hacking, basically what we call it, ethical hacking. So we offer lab called penetration testing lab. Actually, we call it penetration testing and ethical hacking. That's the lab.
I see. Let me close out this part of the program. We'll have some time for questions and answers. What should we be doing? I mean, of course, we should all have antiviral software on our programs, but there seems like the portfolio of threats has gotten so flexible and big and nimble. And if we're living in a moment of heightened threat because of what's going on in Eastern Europe, what should people be doing to protect their assets, their material, their homes, their livelihoods?
Actually, that in terms of the software and the hardware, that's honestly very well designed in terms of security, in terms of everything. The invisible in that whole hardware and software is basically you and everybody, the user. Most of what hacking that happened, and again, there are people who analyze it and all that, mostly happened because the user made a mistake. Either clicking on a link, download something, you didn't realize it turns out to be a virus sitting in your laptop. Or you received an email, you clicked on something, it went to a website, a fake website. Or people don't listen to what their IT policy, their IT division within a school or a company or an institution has a policy. We have to follow it step by step, honestly. I'm not saying that, but the policy says, for example, you're not supposed to put a flash drive. Some company, their policy doesn't allow people to put flash drive because it could be infected. And then you're gonna infect every company. So that's a key thing, goes to awareness. And actually we've been doing that, as you know, with Harlem Chamber of Commerce. We used to run like every 3 months a seminar, mainly for small business and things like that. Awareness, what is cybersecurity, what you need to do. And basically it says, oh, the other thing, we need to update everything in the laptop. When there is a new update for Windows, download it right away, don't wait. Because it says they're doing it for purpose. Most likely it is they found a security hole. You know, if you don't update your virus, antivirus software, and actually I didn't, but I will do it when I go back. So I mean, we make mistakes. Individuals, we make mistakes. So that's really the bottom line.
Okay. So we do want to hear from you and address questions you might have. There's 2 venues for it. We'll take questions from the floor. But as I said earlier, we have a streaming connection, and so Barbara Nichols over at the table will also be taking questions. Is it Barbara Nichols or Barbara Evans? Barbara Evans over at the table will be also reading the questions that come in from people watching online. So what do you want to talk about? And Sarai will be walking the mic around. There she is.
Hi, Professor. Can you explain the cloud in layman's terms and tell us how secure is the cloud?
Very good question. The cloud is a term started from the engineering point, because the way PhD students and all the researchers, we draw a cloud to represent the network, and then whatever you're talking about. So that's the cloud basically means the internet. So when I go to Google Cloud, I am going to Google server, and that server give me what I want. But we call it a cloud as a nickname maybe. So that's the meant of cloud. Secure cloud, so the cloud is basically everybody servers, CCNY server, CUNY server, Amazon server, everybody sitting in the cloud, basically sitting on the internet. Again, in terms of secure, yes, everybody, I mean, Google, all those guys here at CCNY, we would keep track of, remember, every organization, you must have an entry point to that network, sub-network. So the entry point, that's where they put firewall, and the IT group maintain it and can authenticate every user. So definitely a secure cloud, it means yes, everybody does its own security. By the way, the internet, people maybe have a misunderstanding of the internet. The internet is composed of 100,000 network or 1 million sub-network. They are connected, like one network is CCNY. Basically, we are connected to the internet, and everybody else has its own sub-network connected, and then all these sub-network, they can talk to each other. So that's the internet. So basically, it is massive invention of last century. Actually, I think it is a great invention, and it was invented, by the way, to give Department of Defense. Was the first person that came up. One person published a paper in 1964. He put the concept, why don't we do it that way? Basically packet switching. And that was led to all what we have. And by the way, we have one of our graduates is Professor Leonard Kleinrock, New York Times, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, tried to find who invented the internet. There is no one invented the internet. It is hundreds of thousands, millions of researchers. But they listed the top 10 people who contributed. And one of them was Leonard Kleinrock.
Well, 2 of them actually, right? Because Robert Kahn is also a City College graduate.
Yes.
So 20% of the founding.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Hi. So I wanted to ask you, so in terms of blockchain, what are your views on blockchain? And some people say it's safe, some people say it's not that safe. So how do you think our lives could be transformed or could not be transformed in terms of how blockchain can be developed in the US?
And maybe we start by giving a quick definition of what blockchain is.
Okay. All right. Blockchain, as we all know, it is the underground against Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So when you say cryptocurrency, it is run by what is called the blockchain. Blockchain is basically, you want to understand what it is? It is basically a public ledger in the company, the accounting ledger. This is accounting but distributed across the globe. So there are nodes basically have a copy of that ledger. So that means everybody verified, everybody make sure it is right, it follows the format. So that's how its strength. It's like, so basically blockchain, good question, because we actually, in the cybersecurity program, we are introducing for the first time next semester is blockchain course. And that's obviously, the nice thing about blockchain, it goes across the board. It goes from financial, it has application literally across the board, and you told me you are in economics, so definitely it has a big application in your field. So definitely blockchain is secure, distributed, that's the key thing, but also once, let's say I want to buy from Vince 10 Bitcoin, it's a lot, but 10 Bitcoins, I put it in this distributed blockchain, let's call it blockchain now. Every member of that blockchain has to verify that I am authorized to do that, my format fits the whole thing, and then everybody votes on the validity of my transaction. Everybody, global. So that's why we say it is secure, that's why you don't hear that cryptocurrency, if it gets hacked, not because hacking the system, but hacking, like a server that does the trading. So they might hack that server, but the blockchain itself is solid. At least till now, obviously. We don't know because it depends on a lot of encryption, and if somebody can break up that code, it's not easy. Yeah.
Microphone back there first, and then we'll bring the mic up front.
Some of the most vulnerable people that fall victim to cyber attacks are our small businesses and elders within Harlem. How can we as a university be pillars in protecting or educating these people or these groups of people more?
You mean in terms of educating our students or the community?
The community. The community, yes.
Yeah, the community, again, as I mentioned, we're doing that with the Harlem Chamber of Commerce, which again, a good initiative, but I guess during COVID, we had to stop that, but maybe we can start it again. Again, this is meant for the local community and doing a lot of awareness. That's the key thing. Because obviously, the other thing also, and again, the law enforcement, they say that a lot, information sharing. This is the two buzzword that we must all have, and also big corporation must keep that in mind. If some big company got hacked, they used to keep it secret because, again, it might damage their image and so on. But now we passed that stage. Everybody has, I got hacked, here is the attack type and all that, and I let everybody knows about it. So the idea, information sharing is a must in that domain now.
Here comes the mic. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your discussion. I receive emails from the Social Security Administration and from the IRS and other government agencies. They're requesting information, and they're phony. They're fake. And I delete them right away. Right now, there is facial recognition software, and people can simulate you or me or Professor Boudreau and say, we're asking for funds, we're asking for your credit card number, and this is a fake. And what I'm worried about is that they're faking on the internet. They are faking telephone calls. I get telephone calls from these agencies, and I know that they're also a fake. The only reliable source are letters from the Social Security Administration or the other, federal agencies. I get a letter, and of course, from the IRS, I pay taxes like everybody else, and I'm worried about that the thieves are going to be able to simulate letters from the federal agency sent to us asking for information, and we won't know whether it's real or whether it's a cyber thief or what, because they're doing it on the internet and they're using the telephones.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. This is a major problem, and it goes back to the user could be the entry point for the hacker. I and you and everybody could be the entry point for the hacker to do that. But I get, as you said, a lot of those things. What first thing I do, I go to the legitimate website, not by clicking on the email. You just go to and I go to my account, and under my account, I see the messages coming to me. So that's one way you could always, I do that every now and then to prevent these fake. We're getting a lot of fakes, emails, so definitely in digital world, we are open for this type of things, and we have to deal with it.
I think the other thing, though, is that these same emails get passed around. And so if you take the first sentence and put it in a Google search, almost inevitably, you'll get a site that says, this is a fake email. And so being able to verify a letter just by taking even the subject line, people are a little lazy, right? They won't write a letter to you that they haven't sent to 100,000 other people. And so you can track it down that way.
Thank you, Professor. Now, I use an Apple computer. In the past, I could save my information from pages, and I have access to this information when I'm not online. But all of a sudden now, in order to use the stuff I save on Pages or Keynote, I have to go through the cloud. Is there a way that I can it's my information, how can I use that information when I'm not on the internet going through the cloud?
So you mean you're receiving things?
No, I'm writing, okay, I may write something in Pages, and I save it in Pages, and it's going to iCloud. And I know this, when I'm on the internet, I have access to my information, but when I'm offline, I don't have access to my files.
But there are, obviously the files can be in different ways. I could store it in my laptop, which obviously most of the files, I could store it in the cloud, or I could have a separate hard drive and I keep it on it off the network.
Hard drive. Oh, so I have to use a hard drive, because recently I know it's as though they're hijacking my information. I have been using an Apple for years. All of my computers are Apple. I have a couple of the Shibas. Recently, it's like, this is my information, but I have to go through the cloud to get my information. So it's a hard drive. I have to keep it in the hard drive.
Hard drive is a good, safe way. I used to do it. Everything in my laptop, I have a backup on a hard drive. For a reason, maybe a computer breaks down or whatever, so you have a backup on a hard drive.
Oh, thank
Good afternoon. First of all, your speech was wonderful. I'd like to thank you for that. And secondly, my question is that with the rising quantum supremacy and the way quantum computers are being developed, there have been some concerns regarding cryptography, encryption, and the way banks work. So, what's your point of view about cybersecurity of the future where quantum computers might become an everyday thing?
Yeah, that's definitely an excellent question. And clearly, quantum computing is almost about to start. And quantum computing, we know it is very fast, much faster than the digital computer. Today's computer are digital, but quantum computer would be much faster. So much faster, that means any encryption algorithm, by the way, we're using all these encryption algorithms, they can break it up in less time. And that's obviously big no-no. So definitely the encryption has to move forward. And I mean, we have actually in our cybersecurity program, Professor Gennaro, his specialty is encryption. Professor Vazio, her specialty is encryption. And they're working to advance that. So it is a race. As a matter of fact, yes, it is a race that we should have look in the future 5 years from now and be able to develop more complex encryption algorithm to be ready for quantum computing.
Thank you.
I want to ask, Barbara, anything from the streaming in?
I'm not sure if this, just one question, and the person says, how would I know if there's spyware on my computer?
Okay, good question. There are signs, symptoms. You notice in your laptop, if it is not functioning right, then something is weird. What do you mean functioning right? For example, a slow computer. My laptop, I was working, then all of a sudden, it doesn't go quickly to me. That means there is in the underground, beneath the computer, there is a lot of processing happening, and I'm not doing anything. So that means there is a virus, could be a virus. So that's a big, so basically slow computer will give you an indication. If you lose a file, will give you an indication. If it crashes all of a sudden, or it shuts down and restart again, this is all symptoms. And based on that, you have to, say it again, update your antivirus. That's first step you will do.
I think we have time for 2 or 3 more questions. Let's say 3 more questions. There it is.
How can I get a cybersecurity expert to come to my house?
What are you cooking?
Yeah, it is, well, coming to the house, it might be difficult, but at least going to the major repair centers, like Microsoft, my laptop ran into problem. I took it to the nearest Microsoft because my laptop is Microsoft. And they did excellent job, actually. On the spot, I sat with the person and was able to repair it right away. So that's one way. But I'm sure there is. Maybe they can.
The thing is that I have another issue besides the computers and on the phone and all that. I have an issue. I believe there's bugs. That's why I'm saying, how could I get somebody?
Geek Squad.
I think we have room for 2 more. And let me just confirm that with Barbara. Barbara Nichols, where are you? Is that about right? All right, 2 more questions.
Yes. So my question is, we have seen that crypto is becoming very common. So I was reading something like, I don't know the source for that, but do you think, read that crypto is regulated by the government. And is it regulated by the government? And if it is, how it is regulated? And how safe, how hard it is for people to do money laundering using this kind of platform? Or is this safe?
Yeah, about what again? Sorry, I missed that. About
So I think, cryptocurrency is not as safe. I mean, a lot of people do underground things that you can't do transactions using bank to bank, and they want to hide those transactions. And I read somewhere that government is actually regulating it, and if it is, how it is regulating. And is it actually going to be a common platform in the future for people to use, or do you think government will introduce probably a new platform or that's regulated and safer for all of us?
my opinion, cryptocurrencies obviously stay here to stay. It is almost accepted by everybody. Big corporation accepted it. For example, I read somewhere JB Morgan or one of the financial institution using it. So, and it's happening a lot now. So that's, now the question whether it will be regulated or not regulated. It is not regulated now, but again, people who thought about cryptocurrency in the early game mainly did it because it is non-regulated. So now I don't know. I mean, it definitely the federal government trying to get also in the game, and they mentioned there will be a federal cryptocurrency working on it. So definitely that means it is regulated from their side. So that's, so now it's still, it is a new technology and growing, and it's still time to decide.
Okay, who's up?
I want to thank you for spending time with us today. My question revolves around privacy. All of us pretty much carry smart devices these days, and many homes have smart devices inside the home. I know when, like when I'm talking with my spouse about maybe some purchase or whatever, then all of a sudden I start getting ads for what I've been talking about. And so I'd like to know, do we have rights as users of this technology to block that kind of what I would call invasion of privacy, and how prevalent is it throughout the industry?
Yes, it is a major problem we are all facing. I am with you. Clearly, it is the same issue here. Again, unless the federal government steps firm and says we need to regulate ads and these type of things. Like, look back 30 years ago, we had all these robocalls, and they established a site where you can go and report to prevent from coming again. Maybe it is time they should do something like that for the internet, for the ads we get. I spend in the morning cleaning up my email. I have to clean up my email from all this junk, and we don't want it. So yes, but again, it is evolving technology, and the guy's taking a lead, and till we put the regulations on all that, is lacking behind.
So Carolyn Fleischer and Albert De Leon are sitting right next to each other, and they both have a question. I bet if we could ask them to ask their questions shortly, we could get them both in, and then you could answer. And we'll take both questions and then do a final answer.
I was just, I had a question about passwords. As a senior citizen, it's hard to remember, but they keep stressing how important it is to change your password. How important is it when you have the security updated, and how often do you have to do it?
And then let's take Albert's question.
Yeah, definitely password is a must.
Let's get the other question.
I suffer the same thing but I do create a file. I'm not going to say what is the name of the file, but I have a file, and any new password, I keep putting it. The file is so huge. But the best way, again, you make password longer with characters and all type, whatever they ask for, that should be, and it should be frequently, honestly. Remember, security, it is you're trying to prevent that low probability to happen to you. Very low probability. But if it happens, it's going to mess up everything to you. So the idea to be protected as much as you can.
Albert, take us home.
Okay, I'll try. Just to follow up on the privacy issue, there is no federal law on privacy. However, the states, like California and New York to some extent, but California's been in the vanguard. And Europe is really ahead of everyone when it comes to balancing privacy and the internet and cybersecurity. So there you are.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry. But to follow up, definitely Europe is far ahead to privacy. There is no question. And they actually putting restrictions on all the big firms, what they are doing, what are they doing. I wish we can follow them. That definitely will be helpful. Yeah.
So, Dr. Saadawi, I want to thank you for your time and your insight. And I want to thank all of you one more time, both for being here and joining us for this lunch, for your support of City College. I'll make one very small sales pitch. It is our 175th anniversary this year, and we are making a big, big deal out of it. It's probably going to be the biggest anniversary I get to preside over at the college. I don't believe I'm going to be here at 200, but you know, modern medicine being what it is, who knows? We're kicking that off in this room with our gala on May 5th. May 5th is 2 days before Founders Day. We like to do our gala in this space at the college, right around the time that the college was founded. And it will be a moment to announce a number of truly exciting new initiatives. It will be a moment to see how good, I mean, the Great Hall looks good now. You ain't seen nothing unless you've been to the Great Hall in one of our galas. And so mark it on your calendar. You'll be hearing about it in the mail. We would love to see you here. It will be a celebration. And, you know, you only turn 175 once, if you're lucky. So thank you for coming today. Thank you for everything you do for our students. And we'll see you back soon. Bye, everybody.